Welcome to episode 2 of the Mile 20 podcast with hosts and best friends Lorri and Laura. We're here to talk about our adventures across the 50 states via marathon running and share our lust for travel, adventure, and family. So grab a cocktail and let's do some epic shit together. Cheers, my friends.
Cheers, my friends. We are episode number 2. This is so exciting.
Poppin' the cherry.
Poppin' the cherry this week. That's our episode title. So what we're going to talk about today, just giving our listeners an overview, is we're going to cover our beverage of the week. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what's been happening this week. A couple of exciting things happening. And then we're going to cover our first marathon and which marathon we ran and a little bit more details about that. And then we'll give you a little teaser for our next episode, which would be episode 3.
Yay! We're in it deep now.
Yeah, we're getting really good at this. So our beverage of the week.
Yeah, this week with the Poppin' the Cherry, our theme kind of for the week is we're going to discuss our first marathons, talk about why we chose them, our first experiences, recommendations maybe of what we would do, although our disclaimer to that would be that we both ran them 15 and 20 years ago almost. So some of our stuff may be slightly outdated, but on the theme with Disney, you finish always the last park you run through when you do the Disney Marathon is Epcot. You do run through all 4 parks, and with Epcot, you run with the countries. And France is one of the countries.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. So our beverage of choice this evening is champagne.
Champagne. And just jumping right into our epic week, champagne is really appropriate today because we are also celebrating the fact that our lovely Eagles went and won the NFC Championship game last night.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Man, that was epic.
It was epic.
Yeah. Lorri and I were both season ticket holders, so we were fortunate enough to witness that game in person. And man, I cried.
Wept.
I cried like a freaking baby.
Yes.
I just cried.
From Lincoln, they have a bald eagle that soars over the crowd that they release at the national anthem. A full flag on the field.
The whole field. It's like a big
flag with the person who sang the national anthem. Mary-Kate Morrissey. She's from Downingtown, a local person.
Local gal.
Amazing. Probably one of the best national anthems of the season. She killed it. She's from Wicked on Broadway. She plays
Elphaba, right? Yeah.
Amazing. She did so good.
She did an absolutely outstanding job. And the other thing that we made epic, for the game is that we went into the game in Eagles onesies.
In Eagles onesies, as in we were
the Eagles.
Yes. Sometimes looks a little turkey-ish if the hood isn't up, but we were in Eagles onesies.
Or a unicorn if you're wearing the bill the right way.
Right.
So,
yes, for sure.
Yeah. But that definitely made the week absolutely epic. And we have like a fun girls trip coming up this coming weekend as well.
Yes. We're blessed. My husband and I, we have a little place up in the Adirondacks. And we are taking a girls' trip, me and Laura. You will hear stories about our friend Julie along the way because she's run some of our marathons with us. And Julie is coming with us, as well as Mary Beth, who kind of was in charge of our running group when we first met here locally.
Do you remember when Mary Beth, she would like ask who was going to attend running club that next day? And then at 5 a.m., right?
Yes.
So 5 a.m., like we're all like in this parking lot locally. And then she would take roll call.
She would take attendance. I've never felt so much pressure to be on time.
I was like,
and
I committed. I have to be there.
Yes.
They're going to know if I didn't show up.
Yeah, because Mary Beth's doing roll call. Yes. God bless her. I love Mary Beth. She is just the epitome of breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, she totally is. She's like one of our friends that like no matter what she wears, she always looks super classy. And I always picture her with like pearl necklace.
Yes.
Like just and then there's us.
Yeah.
Got to balance it out a little bit. So
yeah.
But yeah.
A lot.
But the cool thing about going up into the Adirondacks is that they have a bunch of snow right now.
Yes, loads of snow.
Yes.
We're going to be doing a lot
some
of
hiking,
fires, not obviously, like in the wood burning fireplace. That didn't sound right. I've already had a little bit of our champagne. Anyway, reading, puzzles, games.
Yeah, I got some good
wine,
games. Yeah, wine.
Snow, frolicking. It's going to be pajamas. It's going to be a great slippers.
We're not going to do much, but we're just going to all hang out together, and we're very, very excited about that.
Very excited.
Yeah. So let's get into talking about our first marathon, like popping the cherry, right? Getting the first one done. So fortunate enough, even though we didn't run our first ones together, we both ran Disney.
I know. It's really kind of crazy, but I think it's because Disney has such a reputation of being a great first race. Like it's you don't go to Disney because you want a PR. Like maybe you can if you're lucky, but I think that most people go to Disney because it's back of the pack friendly for the most part.
Yeah. Is that why you chose Disney? Because you had heard that it was a good race, or?
Well, for me, we were annual pass holders at the time.
Yeah.
Because the kids were super small, and we were about we lived an hour and 15 minutes from Orlando. So
close. It was like almost like a local race.
Yeah, it really is. Because
Yeah.
when you're living in Ocala, they're really, you have to go to Jacksonville, Orlando, or Tampa to get any of the bigger race vibes. They have some smaller races nearby, but yeah. So it was just made sense. Plus, I wanted to do the goofy because I'm a dumbass. I thought I was going to be a one and done. I was never going to run another marathon again. And I was like, well, then I'll do a half and a full, Saturday and then Sunday, because that makes sense.
Because like Lorri out of the two of us is always the like go big or go home, like go bigger or go home.
Yeah, I'm like all in. Like, here are all my chips.
Go.
But you were living in PA already?
Yeah, I was living in PA already, and I chose to do the Disney marathon because of my brother. Mm-hmm. So the last episode I had shared that, I got into running because of my brother Ned passing away, and it was my way of kind of paying homage to him, but no, I got the decision to run with Team in Training. And that's with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And they had a couple of races that I could choose from. One of which was like Arizona, and I don't even remember the other locations, but Disney was one of the locations. And my brother Ned absolutely loved Disney. I
don't think I knew that about him.
Yeah, he this I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but the first time my parents took us to Disney, I mean, we grew up with not a lot of money and what have you, and so going to Disney, taking 4 kids was a big deal, and we went to Epcot before it was finished.
Really?
Yeah, and like downtown Disney, which like isn't downtown Disney anymore. I don't even know what they call it anymore. It's
Disney
like
Springs.
Disney Springs. Downtown Disney was like, like the big Disney like the huge store that they have there,
yeah.
Right? I don't even know what the name of the store is, but that you could buy anything Disney.
Yeah.
That was like the only thing that was in Disney Springs or downtown Disney at the time.
They had Pleasure Island, though, didn't they?
They had Pleasure Island, but as kids, we couldn't go to Pleasure Island.
Yeah.
So, but that was like the one thing you went to downtown Disney to go to this huge mega store. So, now coming full circle and, running the marathon, there, I was like, I have to do that. I have to pay homage. And my brother loved Figment. The little purple dragon.
Yeah, from Epcot.
Yeah, from Epcot. And so that's why I chose to do Team in Training with Disney. And who doesn't love Mickey? Like running with Mickey,
Yeah, I love Disney. I mean, but I'm a Disney fan.
Yes,
I mean, our
ditto.
kids grew up on Disney, all things Disney.
Ditto.
Yeah. But so the course hasn't changed, right? In all the years.
So you start at Epcot, and then you just go a little tiny bit into Epcot because you start out in like one of their big parking lots, right?
Yeah.
And then you go through the Contemporary.
Yes.
Right. So the Contemporary Hotel, and that's where you hit like one of your first hills because it's a very, very flat course. So for any of you who have not done a marathon before, like this is kind of like the course to go and do too, because there weren't that many hills.
What's tough about it are the overpasses, because there are a few where you're doing on and off ramps, and the like the camber of the road is very sloped and can be a little challenging.
Yeah. But for the most part, I mean, it's just
Florida.
energy. The entire, and then Magic Kingdom. So talk about like what it was like for you going into Magic Kingdom, because like the first little part in Epcot, it was like you blinked your eyes and you were out of Epcot.
Yeah, and then you're on this long stretch where you're
like
just,
a lot of highway. So it's not you more like focus on like the people around you and what have you, versus like there really being anything to see between the parks.
Right. The parks are really kind of where it's at. I remember like going in, because you start so early.
Oh,
it's
really,
like a
really
4:30 start is what I think it started. It starts at now.
Yeah,
I think it's a 4:30
yes,
start.
it was a 4:30 start back then too. And I ran my first one in 2005. And I just remember the buses picking us up at our resort at like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was like I was almost sick to my stomach, like having to wake up that early and thinking I'm going to actually function and run like 26.2 miles here in like a couple hours.
I know, it's insane.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of like, it's like the perk is that you don't have to worry about your transportation, because by staying on property, because you're going to get there in time because you've got the buses that are there. But at the same time, it's just so early. It's brutal.
Because you felt like by the time you went to sleep, like you woke up. So, all right, so Magic Kingdom. So the thing I absolutely loved about Magic Kingdom was, and this is like, we're going to talk about like our like memorable moments throughout the race, but I absolutely loved when you make the one turn and you're running down Main Street, Disney, and you get to see like Cinderella's castle. Yeah. And you're like, I'm running in Disney. And like at that point in time, they let people come in.
I agree. Running down... See, I think it changed. You had spectators there. The only spectators that were allowed were people who had tickets into the park. I don't think they just let... I could be wrong about this. But I felt like Dave was... Like, my mom didn't come and see me run. She was with me the first one that I did.
Okay.
And then the kids were with me, with Dave, the second one. But, yeah, she wasn't anywhere around. But I do remember it's dark, so everything's lit up.
Everything was lit up.
And when you think about... like the main street of Disney, it's always full of people during the day. Like, it's so crowded. But it felt like you had this little moment in the park that was kind of just yours and the 5,000 people around you that are running.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of people that ran the races when we did them, and now it's just blown out of the water in terms of the number of participants that they have in these things. The other thing that I loved about Magic Kingdom, and it was one of those moments where I was like, like people are actually stopping to get pictures taken. So I did that too, right? Oh, yeah. Somebody told me enjoy the journey, with this being probably your only marathon that you were gonna do.
Yeah.
But you got to go into like the back area of the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. You exit like over by, it's Tiana's Bayou now. Used to be Splash Mountain. You exit out that way. So it is, you get to see like the backstage area.
The backstage area. And they had Cinderella's carriage.
Oh.
And people were lined up 20, 30 people deep to go and get their picture taken in the carriage. And I was like, screw that. I'm not waiting. And I regret it because I don't have, like one of those cool pictures. But it's okay. I got kind of past that. So then after you leave... Oh, wait.
Pause.
Go ahead.
Pause, because I had something different experience.
Oh, you did?
I did. I am a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan.
Oh, Jack Sparrow.
I have such a crush on Captain Jack Sparrow. And yes, I had Captain Jack Sparrow backstage. Yeah.
Oh.
I got a picture taken with him, but I don't even know where that picture is.
Oh.
I have a picture with him.
See,
somewhere.
now we're going to have to dig that picture out because we will, after each of our episodes, we will be posting our pictures
on social media. Yeah.
So that way you get kind of an additional glimpse in terms of some of the things that we've described, but you get to go see it in action.
Yes. At Mile 20 Podcast on Instagram and Mile 20 Podcast Well, we're also on YouTube and on Facebook, but we're old, so that's about as far as we go with this.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Too many things to go and juggle. So.
Yeah, too many. Anyway, we are digressing.
All right. So after the Magic Kingdom, then you're on your way on this back road to the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, and I don't know if you experienced the same thing as me, because again, Lorri and I did our races, like 5 years apart from each other.
Yeah.
Right? So when I ran the race, there were how many people? There were 7,726 people who ran the race when I did it in 2005. And how many were there?
Almost 17,000 people.
Like,
when I
holy
ran
cow, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the growth of marathons from, that time period was just unbelievable. So, we're with all these people on this back road, and they basically, it's this sewage road. They have like all their sewage plants.
It's notorious. You get like a blend between the sewage, and then as you're approaching Animal Kingdom, you also start to smell, a little bit of the animal byproducts from there being so close to the Animal Kingdom as well.
Yes, and that road is called Bear Island Road. The one thing I really enjoyed about that is that they have really cool trivia signs.
Yeah.
Right? So you'd have like a question, a Disney trivia question, but then you'd have to run like a freaking half mile to go and get the damn answer. The one that got us was, what was the Disney lead character that never spoke?
Ooh, that's a good question. And I always thought it was Fantasia. It was Mickey and Fantasia.
I thought it was Fantasia. It was Dumbo.
Oh, Dumbo.
Dumbo never spoke.
Dumbo never spoke.
And maybe he didn't smoke either. But yeah, so Disney did a nice job, even though you're running on this road and you're thinking, wow, I'm running next to sewage plants and so forth. Did a really nice job of trying to go and distract you. But Animal Kingdom, loved Animal Kingdom. Before you even entered into the park, the vibe was absolutely like infectious. The music,
Yeah.
they had, for us, they had a bunch of folks on stilts and doing like, some.
Was it the Lion King people? Wasn't it from the Lion King show? I feel like they may have been from the Lion King show because that was in Animal Kingdom at the time.
Yeah, it could have been from the Lion King show, but their energy was infectious. And at that point in time, I was getting tired, just even mentally from just running that really long, like straight flat road. But then you get into the park and you run by the Tree of Life. And they really had you running through Animal Kingdom. You got to see a lot of it.
I felt like it was that way with all the parks.
Yeah.
I feel like you got a nice feel of all of them.
Yeah.
Going through the main parts, getting a good visual of, the Tree of Life, the Cinderella's castle. I remember spotting the Tower of Terror, as you were coming up.
Yeah, MGM.
Well,
it used to be MGM back in the day, right?
Yeah. Hollywood Studios. Did they have I think they had the Magic Cap then, which I don't know if they have that anymore. The centerpiece of what used to be in MGM/Hollywood Studios. They had Mickey's Fantasia Cap was the centerpiece for that for the longest time.
Yeah, I don't know if that's still there. I have not been to that park in a really long time.
I have, and I still can't
remember,
which is terrible.
It's okay. It's okay. Then after you ran through what was then MGM, you then run by the Disney Boardwalk.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Did you get the candy at MGM? Like when you go through the back lot?
No. Oh, that really angered me.
Yeah, this is a back of the pack issue.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when you're up front. When you're up front and you're speedy and you're running these races, whatever perk they have out on the course, you're the first to it. The Porta Johns are fresh.
You have toilet paper.
You have all the water. You have all the Gatorade. Oh, there's orange slices on the course. Good for you. Because when you're in the back,
you don't get anything.
They're all gone. I'm running through the backstage lot, exiting MGM/Hollywood Studios, and I see littered chocolates.
Chocolate wrappers everywhere.
They're all over. And I'm like, Where's the chocolate?
I want some chocolate.
There was no chocolate.
There was no chocolate.
I had none.
And then they also had oranges, and I saw the orange peels.
Yes.
Everywhere on the ground.
Gone.
All gone. Yeah. So
I saw the sweeper bus. It was looking to pick people up. I saw that.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
I
was
didn't
fortunate enough not to see that one.
I didn't see the people with all the candy. Those people were gone by the time I got there.
So for those listening who are not runners, but you're learning, all of this stuff about the Disney Marathon, and maybe we're exciting you to go and actually do the race, a sweeper bus is basically a bus that is at the end of a race. And some races have this, where you have a time limit for your race. And you have to finish the race in a certain amount of time because they don't want people out there for 15 plus hours.
Well, and they have to, with Disney in particular, they have to open up the
course.
And,
and also people are volunteering to go and help out on the course. So you don't want people out there for, an exorbitant amount of time. So if you don't go and finish a part of the race by a certain time, that bus will just come by and scoop you up.
Yeah, and drive you to the finish.
And you will not get a finish medal because you did not go and run the entire thing. And we have never, ever been swept. So that is a good thing.
Although that would be in my closest time.
Yes. And then we finished the race, the Disney Marathon. You finish in Epcot.
Oh, yeah.
And before I hit Epcot, I hit that wall we talked about last week. I hit the mile 20 wall, and I hit it pretty hard. But the fortunate thing is that there were about 4 or 5 other people who hit the wall right around where I did as well.
Yeah.
So we all started walking together, and it was hot. It was really, really warm that day. It was in the 80s. It was actually 81 degrees when I finished the race. And I hadn't been training in that kind of temperature because here in Philadelphia, in the beginning of January, it's, usually in the 20s or 30s, is the average temperature. So
and zero humidity.
And it was hot and humid. But it was the coolest thing, like walking around the boardwalk area with these other folks, because we got to learn about each other. And you talk about how I like to talk when I'm running and on a course. So I just started asking people, hey, what's your favorite ice cream? And they're like, just started talking, and we distracted each other. Which was wonderful. So what was your feeling when you actually entered into Epcot, knowing that, holy crap, I'm actually going to finish this thing?
I cried.
Yeah.
I cried a lot because I injured myself prior to my first running, getting to the start line. I went into that weekend with an IT injury, which is a knee injury from overuse and a strained tendon in the knee. And it becomes extremely acute, especially when you're running like on a decline. Mm-hmm. So I actually spent, right before I entered Magic Kingdom, I had to go to a medic tent, and they wrapped me super, super tight to try and take the pressure off the IT so that I could finish. There was a lot of tears that day.
Yeah.
So like when I finished, it was a 7-hour cutoff, and I finished in 6 hours and 56 minutes. So I had 4 minutes to spare. So I knew Dave and the kids had made it down, I think, yes, for that one. They didn't start with us. They didn't stay with us. My mom stayed with us, but they drove down that morning, and they were at the finish. But they actually came in, too, and were waiting at Mexico for me. Oh. And so when I came around the World Showcase, I just lost.
Like blubbered all over.
I lost my shit. I was crying so hard. And I gave Dave a big hug, and he's like, I know you're hurting, honey, but they just made an announcement that they're closing the finish line. You need to run, and you need to run fast. Go. And I was like, okay, I'm doing my best.
I blubbered as well.
Did you?
Completely blubbered when I...
Did you have any family down there with you?
I did. My mom and dad came down, and Jim and Maddie were there. And Maddie was very young. She was maybe like 10 years old or so. So Jim and Maddie prided themselves on hitting every park and trying to go and see me in each of the different parks. It was like, that was like their little adventure, for the day. And my sister, Megan, came down as well.
Yay.
So it was special because, for the whole reason of why I was doing the race. And when we came out of Epcot, you actually finish again in the parking lot. And I just remember seeing my family up in the bleachers and coming around the bend, and you had that like straightaway for the finish, and just going, holy crap, like I'm finished a marathon, and all I kept thinking was like, I wish my brother was here.
And how soon before the weekend did he pass? Like, how much time was between Ned passing and the marathon?
So Ned passed away in April of 2004, and I ran the race in January of 2005. So less than a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah,
how
it was raw.
emotional.
It was pretty raw, but man, I blubbered like a baby because and my first thought when I came across the finish line was, I am never doing that ever again.
61 times later.
Yes. No, that's exactly it. So really, the whole thing about Disney, and I think we kind of captured it here, is that you really get to immerse yourself in the parks. The staff, although we complained about not getting oranges and chocolate, the staff was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
the
well
support.
run.
It's a really well run race. Wow, say that fast a couple of times. But it is a race now that, as I described, having 7,000 people versus, you are 17,000 people. But you have to be really comfortable being around a lot of people.
Yes, and it's a lot of walkers. I think that there are a lot of people that do it to walk it as well. So that's just something to be noted.
Yes, very, very mindful of.
So how did you feel? Because I've never done a team in training. Like, were you supported on the course also by team in training? Or, like, what was that experience like?
Yeah, so Team in Training, they are affiliated with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And for anybody who wants more information, can go out to teamintraining.org. And they are still an active organization where you can find a couple of races. They still do Disney, which was nice to go and see that, because I haven't been with them in a number of years. But they are active with Chicago, Berlin, Boston, London. Good for us to know that one. New York City, so forth. So the deal is that you agree to fundraise for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and they had a minimum amount of money that you had to fundraise. And then in turn, you get associated with a group with trainers. And, in the Philadelphia area, we would meet down on Kelly Drive, right by Boathouse Row. So I would drive down there every weekend, and they gave you a 20-week training plan. And, I met a couple of girls who were running the Phoenix Marathon together, but I was the only one running Disney at our pace. So while there were other people from my group in Philadelphia who went down to Disney, I ran by myself. So that was a little wah-wah for me because, you know.
Yeah,
I love running with my people. But so that was really difficult.
But it was different back then.
It was.
It was before us.
It was before us.
Before us was us.
Yes. But the neat thing too is that for the money that you raise, Team in Training provided me with my airfare well as covered my hotel stay.
Wow.
So for me then it was really asking friends and family to support Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, in memory of my brother, and the outpouring of support that I got especially that first year was just phenomenal.
I believe it.
So you asked what the support was on the course. Phenomenal. Not only were our trainers, our coaches, active on the course, they had bicycles, and they were, I don't even know how they magically appeared. It was Disney magic. They just appeared throughout the course. But when I hit the Disney boardwalk area, and I talked about I hit that that wall, there were coaches from other teams. So we all wore purple singlets. And they saw the purple singlets, the Team in Training, and they were handing out candy and, giving encouragement, and they had cowbells and so forth. So you felt like you had this extended family of coaches and support, even when you didn't know any of the people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. It was an experience that I actually did 3 times. So my 3 times I ran Disney, all 3 years, 2005, 6, and 7. I did it all through Team and Training. And I signed up for the other 2 years because in my mind, you know me, setting goals.
Yeah.
I raised a lot of money that first year, but I said, you know what? My brother passed away at 27 years old, and I want to raise at least $27,000 for Leukemia and Lymphoma
What a great
Society.
goal.
Yeah, to go and commemorate, his age that he passed away at.
Yeah.
And I did it. In three different years, I raised over $27,000 for
amazing.
Leukemia and Lymphoma. Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah. Now, how about you? How about your support on the course?
Mine was bare, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I did have the kids the second year out there a little bit, bright and early. They don't remember it, though, I don't think.
You're confused.
I do have pictures
We're
of
at Disney.
them
We're at
looking-
Disney.
Yes. But no, I was kind of like the Lone Ranger. I was out there solo. I was training in Ocala with a group called the Turtle Running Club, because we were all considered ourselves. We were the slow people in Ocala. They had like a fast running club, and we're like, oh no, we're the turtles. We're slower. And so some of them were volunteering on the course. They did that annually as a group. They love to support the Disney race. So they would come down and they would, be at a water stop. So it was great to see them. But pretty much, no, I was like in my head. The first year was very, very tough. Just a lot in my head and wondering, like, what is wrong with me that I need to do this in my life? I don't know.
Because the first one is not fun.
No, we always say it's like childbirth. For those women who have had children, men will never know, but a marathon is like childbirth. When you're going through it, it hurts like hell and you're questioning your decisions in life. But then like 2 or 3 days later, they start looking a little cuter and you're like, well, if I would have done this, or if I could have done that, or what if I went here, and what if I ran that? And all of a sudden, all that pain just mysteriously vanishes from your head, like it never happened.
So what were your big ahas, like learnings from your first marathon?
So I used.
Sorry, I'm having a hot flash.
I'm
rolling up the sleeves now.
I did not have the Team in Training. I had my Turtle Running Club, and a lot of them were very seasoned runners.
Yeah.
There's a dude, Chuck Savage, who's, I don't even know how old Chuck is now, but he was like my idol back in the day. He had already done the 50 states. He ran a marathon a month, and he was out of Ocala. So like we had a lot of seasoned runners with our group, and so they would train for various things, so it was easy to latch onto their training schedules. Yeah. But we never really ran races together. So like in the beginning, the premise of how they trained was using Hal Higdon.
Yes.
His training schedules are amazing, and I highly recommend them. If you go to halhigdon.com, he has a full gamut of very free training schedules that you can use to run a marathon. Couch to 5K, I believe he has as well, like various distances. So like if you've ever thought about running anything, there is a training schedule for you, and it's a great place to start. For me, the first round, he usually has you running like 4 to 5 days a week, and there's like tempo runs and like all of that. I realized, so he usually did short run, midweek run that would gradually get a little longer, not full distance longer, but you'd get up to could go up to 9-10 miles on like a Wednesday, another short run, and then a long run on the weekends. Right. I realized that my body, I can't do that midweek longer run. Like I just don't need all that extra mileage. I'm good with a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is what I learned the first go around, because I was overrunning, which is what caused my injury. Plus, I probably wasn't stretching enough, foam rolling enough, taking care of my body, eating the right things. Yeah. We can go through the gamut of things that I probably did wrong that first go around. But the second year, the only reason why I signed up for that was because I was like, redemption. Like, I just want to know what it feels like to do it healthy, where I can go out there
And finish happy.
and finish and feel like
Yeah.
I tried, I could do my best, as opposed to like thinking, should I stop? This really sucks. Oh my God, this hurts. So, but ironically, with things selling out the first year, I did not get in on a straight registration. The
Oh, I didn't know
first
that.
year I did marathon tours.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we had to
Oh.
stay at the Disney. We did Pop Century, stayed at the Disney resorts, took the bus. The second year I was on the ball and could register right on time and got a normal bib for the Goofy. And then, which the Goofy again is Saturday, you run the half marathon and then the full marathon on Sunday. So I was crazy doing that.
You were so crazy.
Both
doing
years in
that.
a row.
Yeah.
But the second year opted just to stay off property.
Yeah,
all that.
yeah. We stayed at the Caribbean Beach Club for my first marathon. I couldn't tell you where I stayed at the other two places, but I just remember the Caribbean Beach Club because I don't know why. I just remember it. It was everything. I just kind of taking it all in and whatnot. I think for me, the things that I learned. I mean, and we learn things every single marathon, right? Whether it's about our travel plans, how we just arrange things, eating, whatever the case might be. But my big ahas after my first marathon were always wear a visor. I did not wear a visor my first marathon, and I did not wear sunscreen.
Ooh, in Northeastern or in Florida. Ooh, that's not good.
Sizzle. Yeah, so I was pretty burnt. And so imagine how you after your first marathon, you are very sore normally afterward. So I was very sore and I was very burnt.
Oh, jeez. See, I didn't even have those issues. It literally in 2010 snowed. There were flurries coming down at 4:30 in the morning. Even some of the water stops later after the sun had risen
Got iced over.
They were frozen over.
Yes.
It was crazy. I had to go out the day before. I think my mom and I went to Dick's or something, and I was like planning on wearing shorts and my tank top, and I had to go out and get pants that I'd never ran in before and like an Under Armour shirt to put underneath everything I was planning on wearing. It was insane.
Yeah. So when I did the Disney Marathon in 2007, it was started out in the 30s.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the luxury of having a car to be able to go to like a Dick's Sporting Good or what have you. So I was at the mercy of like what hats and stuff were available. So I have this like $1 million Mickey Mouse like knit hat, and it is called the $1 million hat because I probably spent about $50 on this knit hat.
Yeah, Disney pricing.
But the other thing too, and back in 2005, really didn't have access to weather apps,
No,
and so forth to really.
there was
know.
no smartphones.
There were no smartphones at the time, so you really. You couldn't anticipate what the weather was going to be like. So the important thing that we do is you just have to be prepared for anything, especially when you're traveling to races and you might not have the ability to have a car and so forth. You really need to be planful.
Did you try and have a pre-race ritual your first time?
No.
Like for your first marathon?
No.
Like something you felt like you had to eat or something you had to do beforehand?
No, not at all. Not at all. I just, that was the other thing that I made a mistake on was I just really overate that first running season because our coaches were telling us, just make sure you carb up before your run. Carb up before your run. So I'm like, I'm gonna eat a lot of pasta. and
did you know you had a gluten allergy at that time?
No, I did not.
That must have gone so well.
It was not a good situation. There was a lot of bathroom stops along the way. I have to admit.
Oh dear.
So any special gear or things that you latched onto that have stuck with you through the years? Because gear, I think we mentioned it last episode, has changed so much.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I was looking at a picture of myself from in front of the Disney castle, and I could see the cord from my corded. They weren't AirPods at the time. I guess just I don't know. I don't even know what they were called back then. And I think I had all my music on like one of those little square iPods. Or it may have been one of the
nanos. You remember
yes.
the nano? And you used to have like the armband that went around your arm, and your little device would go in there. And then if you didn't wear sunscreen, it left a really, really bad.
Oh, that must have looked fabulous.
I was pretty hot after that race.
I don't even think, like, I religiously carry my running belt now, and my, and I have water with me with a little pouch. I didn't even carry water with me.
Oh, I did. I carried water with me, but I had one of those archaic belts.
Yes, archaic belts
that you wear, and it has a bunch of water bottles attached, and they didn't stay on the belt really well. Yes,
the whole
and when
time
you
you're
ran,
running,
your water just juggled, and and then the belt was uncomfortable, and it dug into your skin and so forth.
That chafed. It was just another area of chafing.
Yeah. So that I'm really, really glad that technology has changed and things have become much more lightweight and so forth as well.
Yeah.
So got some really, really good learnings there. So fueling back in 2005 was very, very different than how I fuel today. I actually, when you and I started running, I used to carry Swedish Fish with me, right?
Oh yeah,
and
I remember
Skittles.
Swedish. Yeah,
now I think about that, and I'm just like, ew.
I know.
As I've gotten older, my tummy I can't absorb like that sugar.
Yeah.
So
quality nutrition
is more my jam right now. But when I was doing the Disney marathon, my first marathon, that's when goos first started coming out, and that's when the goos were like really thick, like brownie batter.
Yeah.
You remember those?
Yes.
And then it was like so hard to squeeze out. So they were like these little packets.
And the consistency was terrible.
Yeah, it was. It almost tasted like thick mud.
Yeah.
but oh wow, it tastes a little bit like brownie.
I think I used like Hammer Nutrition ones at the time.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I don't even know they make those anymore, do they?
And I took a lot of their pills, like their salt pills.
Oh, I didn't take salt
because
tabs,
I was in Florida training all the time, and it really just like long runs in Florida in the summer or even in the late fall were just brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. It would suck it out of you. I loved Fig Newtons.
Oh, I would do Fig Newtons, and then during training, our coaches would set up stands. Actually at Valley Forge Park, and you would hit a corner, and they'd have Oreo cookies and Fig Newtons and bagels, and I just remember running and grabbing a bagel and like, this is great, and then having celiac and not knowing that it was making me like actually like toxic and like really sick.
Yeah.
But now as you and I have run so many races.
Yeah,
over
we've
the
really
years,
refined what we do down to a kind of a science that works for us. Now, everybody is definitely very different.
It's very, very individualized, and you have to figure out your jam. And even when you figure it out, you might find a year or two later that your body changes and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You just have to experiment and talk to other runners about what's working, or go to your local running store, because those people are the jam. That's how I found out about those Martins.
Yeah.
They're fantastic, but they have a lot of caffeine in them. So I know
too much for me.
I know you don't do well with the caffeine. Lori does a little bit of caffeine, and she is up all night.
Yeah, I'm hypersensitive to caffeine, which I like it that way. Like, I don't drink caffeine every single day, and I think it keeps my tolerance really low for it, which helps me out in the marathon situation.
Yeah.
But fueling just in general, like we are so anal about on the nose every hour on the hour for exercise we're fueling. And I know everybody's different, and even like the instructions on the back of various goos or whatever you get might say 1 every 15 minutes.
That's too much for us.
Yeah, but for us, really every hour on the hour. And depending on where we are in the race, I think it's different for both of us. You tend to hit the caffeine hard, fast, and way earlier than me.
I do.
I tend to like try and savor that caffeine till after the halfway point at some point, and then I hit the caffeine, because then I feel like, in addition to my beverage, that caffeine
at mile 20,
at mile 20, that caffeine just takes me right over the edge and really helps. And we used to start with goose.
Yes.
And we loved goose. And I'm not knocking goose
no,
at
not
all
at all.
because
They worked for a while.
they did work for a while. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if something changed in the goose or just my body. It was probably more my body because I had been doing it for so long, for at that point, many years, eating goose. It just, I would finish races and my stomach would start to hurt.
Oh my gosh.
and-
We would be walking around. You'd be like, "Bleh,
Oh,
bleh."
it
I
was
was like,
so
"Oh."
bad. Like everything hurt, and like I'd want to eat because I was starving but couldn't. And then we switched to honey stingers, which just have like more natural
more a
ingredients.
little bit more organic material.
Yeah, and so far those are still sticking pretty good. I love my honey stingers.
Yeah. So we do a gel, and then we also do blocks.
Yes.
And we'll do one helping. We do a packet of the honey stinger blocks.
Yeah,
But then we
half. We do
so there's
half
usually
and half.
so there's usually 11 or 12 in a packet, and we don't understand how there's like that much inconsistency between a packet.
But let's be real, it's almost rarely that it's an even number because we always eat half at the first hour, then half at the second hour. And inevitably,
it's
you have
five. It's 5 the first go around and 6 the second go around.
Right.
Because it's usually always 11 in the pack. But every once in a while you get 12 and you're like,
I got
"Whoa,
bonus.
I got an extra."
So true.
And then I know folks like energy drinks, and some people like Gatorade and so forth. I remember during Disney just sucking down Gatorade, and again, over a period of time, because they do in some races offer Gatorade or Powerade. I think you and I both have established that if we grab anything, we like the Powerade.
No, I thought it was the blue Gator.
It's blue Powerade.
Is it blue Powerade?
Blue Powerade.
Oh, yummy. That
Yeah.
stuff is the bomb when it's cold.
It is, but you and I don't go and carry that. We carry water, but we use Noon tablets. So they're little electrolyte tablets that are very, very easy to go and put in your running belt, bring along with you,
and they just dissolve right into the water bottle.
Yeah.
Because again, I carry like a 16-ounce water bottle with me.
handheld.
Yeah, handheld.
Ditto.
And I find it so much easier. It cuts down on all the garbage that I feel like I'm not contributing to that piece of it. It helps with my conscience.
Like
about
garbage,
that.
like the
Yeah, the
sustainability
cups.
piece.
The toss away cups. And there's that. And then also like it was kind of liberating when I started carrying water that like I wasn't stressing.
Yeah.
For a long time with those first few races, I wasn't carrying water. And I'm like, okay, there's one every 2 to 3 miles. And being like, oh, I'm getting so thirsty. Am I thirsty?
You
I
don't
really
ever want to
something
think about
drink.
water.
No.
Like at all. You do
No.
not want to think about water.
And I
like,
love carrying because it's just like, all right, I'm thirsty. Take a sip.
Yeah.
It's just like a nice, consistently able to hydrate over time.
And we have a definite pattern where we do a gut check before we hit a water station or hydration station. Say that fast a couple times.
Yes.
Hydration station. And we'll check with each other. Where are you at in your water bottle? Do we need to go and fill up and so forth. So we're always checking on each other throughout the race. So it's always good that if you are deciding to do a marathon, just don't pass by a water station thinking, oh, I have a little bit of water left, I'm okay. Always use the opportunity to fill up your water bottle.
Yep.
You never want to be out on the course
with nothing,
kind of high and dry, so to speak.
That's probably the worst case scenario.
Yeah. So Lorri, when you did your first marathon, when did you arrive in town? Because usually the expo for most races is the day before and so forth. So, and you being like only an hour plus away, like when did you arrive?
Well, I had to run Saturday too.
Oh yeah, duh.
So I had that piece of it. So we went in, I think Friday morning.
Okay.
I met my mom there because my mom lives south. So she's in Fort Myers and I was north. So it was an easy meeting spot for us. But yeah, I think I was in on Friday, picked up all the bibs and did the expo, and then got ready for Saturday.
Yeah, because usually a marathon is on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
At Disney.
And the half was on Saturday.
Yeah, they flew us in on Friday morning. And so we were at the Caribbean resort, and then Saturday the coaches were like, yeah, you need to stay off your feet.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I sat
you didn't
around.
walk much. Remember that?
No.
You're not
don't walk around.
before the race. You don't. You spend that day relaxing.
Relaxing, and I sat by the damn pool, and all I could think about was, oh my God, I'm running a marathon tomorrow. It was the worst thing. Worst thing.
It's way better to stay active, in my opinion, the day before. It takes your mind off of it.
It really does. So
But again, let's remind everybody, we are the example of probably what not to do. I do not recommend what we do. I do recommend gear. I will recommend races. I will recommend places to eat.
But it's epic.
But I do not recommend the way I treat my body to anybody else.
Yeah, so definitely getting there, getting to a race earlier is preferable the day or two prior, because one, whether you're in a different time zone, different climate, different elevation. Elevation is a big one. You definitely want to leave yourself some time if you can. Sometimes we haven't had that luxury with races, and we've come in hot, in for a race, and it is what it is. Yep. But if you have the ability to take a little bit of time before the actual race, we highly recommend it. So what was your recovery like? How did your body feel? I mean, obviously you went into the first race injured already. So how did you feel afterward, and what was your recovery like?
My recovery for the first one, because again, being injured, was at least 2 months. I had 2 months recovery before I could run a mile. And then I think when I started running back again, I got plantar fasciitis. So then there was like a few weeks there where I was suffering through that. But I actually was able to nip that in the bud pretty quickly, thankfully. And then I think the second time it definitely was much less, but I think my IT was still super aggravated probably after the first 4 to 5 marathons I did. Yeah, so I think the subsequent ones, it was like every time I ran one thereafter, the recovery window shrank.
Yeah, I mean, that
to
is
the point
so true.
To almost
to nothing.
To nothing.
Yeah.
Now almost after 62 marathons. But again, I feel like a lot of that's our approach, right?
Absolutely.
So I think if you're gunning it and you're really going for it and you're running hard for 26.2 miles, you're going to experience an extreme amount of muscle soreness. Doesn't matter how many marathons you run, you're hitting that lactic acid threshold. You're going into that zone. So you're going to get muscle soreness. You and I, we are in the back and we are having fun and we are relaxed and we're jogging our way through our courses, having a good old time. So we don't hit that lactic acid threshold to the point where we're anaerobic and getting all that built up in our muscles.
Yeah, no, every once in a while we've had races where we're a little sore because of the grade of the race.
Yeah,
and
all
so forth.
downhills.
But I just remember after my Disney experience, I couldn't sit on the toilet without grabbing like the death grip, both sides of the wall, and just easing down.
Sweaty palms.
Steps were just not something I wanted to tackle.
You go down steps backwards
Or
that
sideways.
That is the keys.
It's like one
yes.
step.
Yep. Yeah.
So as we've run with each other over the years, we always love meeting a first time marathoner. And I recall just one experience when we finished the Kansas City Marathon, and we were sitting with this guy who we were sitting on the grass for a period of time.
Yeah.
And this guy had just finished his first race, and we saw that walk.
Yeah.
And he was either with his girlfriend or his wife, and he was like, "I'm never doing that ever again." And we're like, you might rethink it in a couple of days when you're feeling better.
Give it a week.
Give it a week. So it gets better over time. But just for those of you who haven't run a marathon, even a half marathon, you're testing your body limits, and it'll hurt just a little
There's
bit.
a lot of discomfort.
Yeah. So you want to give a teaser about what we're going to talk about during our next episode?
Yeah, I think our next episode, we're going to start talking about the Marine Corps Marathon. We're going to
Simplify.
Semper Fi. It's our first marathon that we ran together. There are marathons that we've both ran between our Disneys and that Marine Corps race. So that was our first race together. But we want to start this next phase of our journey exploring those first races that we ran together and going through those cycles and talking those stories and moving forward there. And then we'll dip back into memory about, because we've doubled up on different states and different races and things. So we'll circle back to those. But
Marine Corps is where it all started, girl.
Marine Corps is where it all started.
Marine Corps is where it all started.
And we will be running the 10th anniversary of our first Marine Corps together in 2025, accompanied by our daughters, perhaps. They should. So it should be an exciting journey this year because we'll start training for that over the summer.
Absolutely.
And we're going to follow along with the podcast with that too. So Marine Corps is a special race for us.
Very, very special. Very, very special.
So I think it's going to be a good episode.
Yeah, no, I am looking forward to reliving that first experience because that was some good stuff. So, folks, thanks for hanging with us today. We loved talking about the Disney Marathon and just Disney in general. It's a fun place to go and visit. It's magical.
It is magical.
And we will see you next week and make mile 20 your bitch this week.